when hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls. Whenever candlelights flicker where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Welcome Home Podcast. I am your host, your ghost host. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 237 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. We don't have David again. It's peak sports season. So,
yeah, we knew this going into the fall is that things ramp back up, and Damon's time is at a premium. So we get him when we can, but even for us, we were just talking before we started recording about how like for you and I, Tom, it's like we're busy right now, so it's hard to find a good space to like really sit down and do this at the moment.
It is. I mean, it's always been a challenge to kind of schedule the podcast, right? Like, because it's just generally hard to get three people that have families on the same schedule, right? Like, so it's just challenging. Yeah, exactly. And so it's always been a challenge, and it will always be a challenge until like, if all three of us retire from work and our kids aren't here anymore, then it won't be a challenge anymore. But
I'll still be busy. I mean, even when I'm retired, I'm still planning to do stuff. I was actually funny enough, actually, I was talking about this with my parents last night because they're retired, and they've hit a point where they realized that they've done 2 cruises so far this year, and they're booking another one. So
nice.
they're just like, we're going to travel. And so we kind of started talking about cruising, and, for us, my wife won't get on a cruise ship, but then my son was talking about it, and we actually started talking about like Disney cruises.
Oh,
and my son was like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. And then I said, okay, but keep in mind that it would be you and me going, and he's at that age, because he's a teenager. I was like, I don't think you would actually enjoy this as much as you think you would, because there's not like the activities to do on a cruise ship are not as they're meant for younger kids, right?
Yeah.
So there would be that. And then I said, also, the internet on a cruise ship is not like the internet we get here. And he was like, and then all of a sudden he's like, nah, I'm out. Like,
I'm out.
Yeah. He realized he wouldn't have his phone. Yeah.
You got to pay for it. Like, I remember it's been a long time since I've been on a cruise, but I remember we used to have to pay. And I don't know if this is still the case, but you used to have to pay by like the hour, or, they probably have unlimited plans now. It's probably better now. But like when I went, I was like a teenager, and like it was dial up basically,
Well, But I guess the thing is, like, even when we go to Disney, we I haven't let my son bring his phone because we've never had a travel plan for his phone in the first place. So it's like, there's no point in bringing your phone. And also I'm kind of the opinion that, even though, phones are kind of needed to do stuff in the parks, I would rather limit, I actually kind of like the fact that like internet is not great in those places, because it kind of forces you to not default to being on your phone. And, I think it's more of a thing for teenagers right now. Like, I noticed that with my son, is that he's kind of in a place where if he's bored, the first thing he'll do is whip out his phone and start playing a game or whatever. And I would kind of, or I like the idea of going on a cruise, because it's like, hey, we could get away, and, he was not going to have his phone or whatever. But the thing is like, at the parks, you can still get to the internet. Whereas, if you're on a cruise, it's like, you may not even have internet, period. And, he's at that age where that matters to him. So
yeah, I get that. I understand. I get it. It's, I totally understand where he's coming from with that.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well,
Anyway, yeah.
So I did a thing yesterday I should talk about.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that because I saw you post the pictures about Disney on Ice.
Yeah, so I did Disney on Ice yesterday, which I have not done Disney on Ice as an adult. The last time I did it, I was, I don't know, probably under 10 years old. And I remember at the time it had to be like the late, maybe mid 90s, like it was probably mid 90s, maybe later 90s. Cause I remember the only character I remember from when I went was Aladdin. Cause I remember I got like I got one of the light up things, and it was like Jafar. It was like and I've tried to Google this, by the way, and find it, but like not really a good resource to find these things. But I seem to remember it being something like the hourglass that was filled with sand, and like you press the button and it lit up, and there was like stuff that spun around and like that kind of thing. I feel like it was Jafar themed. I could be wrong. I obviously I'm remembering something from a very long time ago, but so I did that when I was a kid. Obviously, things have changed, but it's not that much, right? So no, we have pretty good seats. We had a really good time. I will say, typical Disney production value, just really excellent, well done.
Yeah,
fireworks and special effects, and really, really, they did a great job with the skaters were really good. My daughter had an absolute blast. It was a really good time. So there was like, what was it? Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Moana, Encanto, Frozen, and I'm forgetting one. But those were the ones really that they covered. So,
right.
Which was good. I mean, of course, Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy were there. So that was nice too. I'm a little mad at myself. I cheaped out a little bit on tickets, which, I could be cheap at times. And so we were a little bit higher up and it wasn't the best view in the world. I think, truth be told, part of the reason I cheaped out is I did not know, my daughter's never done anything like this before. So I did not know how she was going to react to it. Right. Like I like to assume that
is a fair assumption. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I assumed that she was going to enjoy it, but I mean, maybe she wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe she would have been bored the whole time. I have no idea. Right. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend like $300 on tickets when, she might not even enjoy it that much, right?
Yeah, she may, and I get that because we did the same thing with our son when he was younger. It wasn't Disney on Ice; it was Imagination Movers because they actually, or I don't know if you remember that show. But,
I do. Yeah.
So they did a tour and they came to Calgary once, and so we took our son. But it was the same kind of thing where it was like, he wasn't. I think he was actually kind of close to the same age your daughter is that. He doesn't, or he wasn't like, or I was questioning whether or not he would actually sit still for the whole thing, which, that in and of itself, like, you're going into a show for kids. You assume kids, are going to, potentially be running around or, not in their seats or whatever. So that was fine. But it was like you, as I was like, I don't know if I want to spend a bunch of money on like, very close seats when, my kid may not be interested in this at all, or he may be on his tablet because it's not like he's just not feeling it. So yeah, I get why you kind of make that decision of, it's not that you're like, I don't want to waste the money, but it's like, you don't want to invest money where you're not going to get value back or perceived value back. Right. Like it's kind of the same thing as like going to any Disney thing is that,
it's the exact same thing as the Christmas party, right? The calculation I'm trying to do on that, right? Like it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah. That's exactly it. Is that you kind of have to like gauge these things and be like, is this for me that I'll enjoy it, or is this like I want my kid to have the experience? But then my kid like your kid's having the experience. It's so hard to gauge that, and it's so hard to like you want to throw all the money in the world at your kids and every experience, but you also know in the back of your head it's like these things like when I talk to my son now, like he doesn't even remember going to that Imagination Movers thing. Like we've shown him pictures, he's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember, but like it wasn't like it didn't form a core memory, I guess is the thing. Like you don't know where they're going to form core memory, so it's like you don't want to go all in on every single thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, I think the worst part of the show was not the show; it was other people, right? Like the general public.
That's not a show like a Disney on Ice problem. That's
no, it's a general human being show. Like, so here's what I don't understand, and I'm just gonna have my old man rant for a second, right? It's like,
do it, yeah.
Why do you spend hundreds of dollars on tickets and show up a half hour late? And I don't mean like a couple people; I mean hordes of people showing up late. Right. Really? And it's like we were right on the edge of the upper level. Right. So we were like the second row of the upper level. Right. And because of that, there was a big walkway right in front of us. Right. So like we literally couldn't see half the show because there were so many people walking in front of us as they were trying to get to their seats a half hour late for the show. And it's like, how do you show up so late to a show you paid hundreds of dollars for? I mean,
now, do you suppose, or I guess, I don't know. I don't go to enough of these things to assume that, like, is it possible that there was seats that weren't filled and they like kind of like, it was like a last second thing where like they sold the tickets. So like maybe it wasn't that these people were late per se, but it was like, you know, they sold these tickets like door crasher tickets, right?
Yeah, they were still selling tickets at the door, right? So
yeah,
like
so maybe that was it. Is that, you know, these people figured they could get, like, it wasn't like a planned thing that they were going to be there, and then they kind of saw an opportunity and went for it. Like I can see that, but I guess you're right. You know, just a lot of people, like I can see a couple of people doing that, but if there's just like a lot of people like standing there waiting for the, you know, the discounted last minute tickets where you miss like a half hour of the show, like
it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But like they're just blocking my view, right? So I'm and it doesn't matter for me, it matters for my daughter. Right? Like I can still see, but my daughter couldn't see, right? And it's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with her? It's not like I can like put her on my shoulders, you know, because there's people behind us, obviously. So, and it's like
you're the responsible person that wouldn't do that. That's the problem, is that you care enough that you wouldn't do that.
That's true. That's
not a problem per se.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I agree. But no. So like, listen, but the show was great. So the one thing I will say is, man, the prices, and somebody said this, right? The prices were significantly higher than what we pay for things at Disney World itself. Now, listen, this isn't just a Disney thing, right? Like if you go to any sports event or anything, right? Like you get a beer and it's like $16, right? Like it's not, it is what it is, right? Like
it's stadium markup is what it is.
Exactly. Like, so I don't even blame this as like a Disney thing, right? It's any event you go to, concerts, you know, sport events, whatever, things are inflated, right? But so, you know, they had the people walking around with like popcorn and stuff, right? So it's like, all right, well, my daughter likes popcorn, so let's get some popcorn, right? So he has the popcorn, and I'm thinking, you know, all right, popcorn, how much could it be, right? So I just say, all right, popcorn, and then
let me guess.
Good.
Okay, I'm feeling like you're going to say it was like $8 for a box of pop.
If only it was $8, Trevor. It was $18.
Oh, wow.
For a bag of popcorn. That wasn't okay. So listen, I would be okay with $18 if it was a popcorn bucket that they gave us. You know, like
I was going to say, I can get a popcorn bucket at Disney for that kind of
This
price.
is what I'm telling you, man. I was like, when they said $18, I was like, excuse me? I was like, what?
Wow.
And so it's like, all right, well, you already have my card, so we're kind of, you know, too far down the road here.
No, you didn't say no.
I mean, well, my daughter wanted it at that point, though. So it's like, I can't say no.
Fair. Yeah.
So, but they gave it in like a little, you know, like those shopping bags, like that are like that kind of material. Like, so the popcorn was like in a very small, tiny little like canvas bag, basically. That was like their version of a popcorn bucket, but certainly not worth $18. Like the markup on that, like the profit that they earn from that popcorn is at least $17, right? Like between the popcorn that's actually made and the cheap little bag that they give you. I mean, but anyway, they gave a lot of popcorn. It was good popcorn, whatever. So then my daughter sees, because this is how it goes, right? So before we even got into the arena, you go to the merch, right? Everybody goes to the merch. There's a long line for the merch. So, because, you know, you got to get the light up wand that you have to, like, it's just the requirement.
You gotta have that in the audience.
Yeah, exactly. So my daughter got a Frozen kind of style, like magical wand that lights up and that has a snowflake on the end. Great. Adorable, right? I told her she can have one thing. So of course we get up there and she goes, Daddy, can I also have the Mirabelle doll? And I'm like, sure. Like, why not? So, I think that was between those two things is probably $80 maybe. And then we're also sitting and there's a guy walking around with snow cones, with ices, right? With the ices. And they're inside an Olaf mug. It's an Olaf's head, and it has like a little flip top on it, and it's got the icy in it, right? So I see it, they go by, I'm like, nah, we're good. Like, let's not do this, right? And so then, I don't know, at intermission, my daughter's like, she's like, I want an icy. I was like, okay. Well, I was trying to convince her to do, they had Dippin' Dots, right? Because, and I was
Dippin' Dots are a little easier because you don't have the Olaf.
Exactly. Well, I was like, let's just get Dippin' Dots, right? And like they had it in like an Encanto mug or something, right? So I was like, let me get Dippin' Dots. And my daughter insisted on getting the icy, right? So I said to my wife, I was like, this is going to be $20. Like, it's like considering how much the popcorn was, now we get a commemorative, Olaf thing that comes with it.
It's a $3 icy and a $22 mug.
Yeah, exactly. So it actually did end up being $20 for the icy and the mug. So, I also got, we bought some pretzels, we bought, drinks and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, listen, it was an expensive day, but I kind of expected it to be an expensive day. And I certainly spent more on merchandise and food than I spent on the tickets. But, I bought the tickets months ago. It's whatever. It's what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be that,
Yeah, like you can't be mad about it because, like you said, at any point you could have said no to any of those things, but you also knew that it was like, you're there with your daughter. You don't want to say no to everything because that's not fun either. But yeah, and I think you also, if you're like me, like when we did these couple of things, it was like we did these one or two things and then we were like, we're going to pass on future opportunities for like concerts and stuff like that because, we kind of, our son got his fill of it. We got our fill and it was like, and I think it's kind of good because, maybe your daughter won't understand it right now, but, in the future, when she asks about stuff like that, if you're like, hey, you can go do this thing, but, remember how we bought you like that light up thing that, is, probably going to end up, in a bin somewhere, like long forgotten. Right. It's like, all those things cost like, upwards of $100. When your kids get older, like again, we didn't do this with our son right away, but it's like, as he got older, we started like pointing it out where it was like, hey, this, I know we bought you this thing in the past, but this cost us like $30. And he's at a point now where he's like if he sees something, he's like, whoa, that's expensive. Like I don't
like he gets that. How much things cost. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's good to give them that so that they understand, hey, these things are good, but this is not an everyday thing, or don't assume that, you'll just get this stuff all the time because it is not cheap.
No, it's really not. I mean, listen, we don't do stuff like this ever. And I mean, this is the first time she got to do something like this. So, we'll probably do like whenever it comes into town again. Right. Like, so it'd be like once a year. It's not, and we didn't do Disney this year. So it's not like it's, she's getting other things, that are crazy. So I don't know. It was fun.
The next time it comes around, you may ask her and she may not be interested at all. Like you may find that she's onto other things by the time it comes back around, and then you don't have to worry. I would be surprised
by that, but you're right.
Yeah. It's hard, right? Kids are like that. They, like I said, our son, he was into like cars and stuff, and then all of a sudden one day it was just like, I don't do cars, and we're like, okay, I guess. Moving on.
Yeah. On to the next thing.
Yeah.
No, I get that. You're right. I mean, she's all about the princesses though. I mean, like the cutest thing ever though, like last night after we got back, she was taking like all her Princess Barbie dolls and she was posing them in ways trying to imitate what the figure skaters were doing. Like where they were doing the things where they hold them up in the air and stuff like that. Like it was adorable. Right. So, listen, you do these things it's funny because my wife said something to me about like, look at all the dads here that are dragged here that don't want to be here. Right. And I don't get it. Right. Like, because even if I wasn't going to enjoy the show for what it is, like I'm there to see the look on my daughter's face as she watches this, right?
That is it, right? Like you can complain about the price tags and stuff, like that's fair, but you do it because it's important for something for you and your kid, right?
Yeah, like, and I just don't get the miserable dad there. Like, do a thing for your kid, man. Like, be there and enjoy the joy that your child gets. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, there were 2 dads in front of me that were like 6 Bud Lights in. I mean, they kept getting up, and I was like, dude, how are these? Hopefully neither of these guys are driving home, because they're like,
they cannot handle that Disney on Ice energy, I guess.
Apparently not. It was only an hour and a half show. I mean, it's not like we were there for that long.
Whoa, that's that's some heavy afternoon drinking. I'm assuming it was an afternoon show, right?
Yeah, it was a 2:30 show. Yeah, so
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but listen, it was a good time. It was a well done show. It's Disney. They know what they're doing, and they've been doing Disney on Ice for a long time. And I'm not even complaining about the prices, because I just, I expected it. It is what it is. And my daughter had a blast. She said it was the best day ever, and that's all that matters. So
I mean, I'll complain on your behalf about the prices, because I don't do concerts and stuff for that exact reason.
Yeah, for that exact.
We figured out a long time ago that it's like, and I don't want to say like, anybody that goes to a concert is wrong or whatever. It's just, for me, I will talk with my son and be like, hey, you can go do this thing, or we could, save our money and go do, something that I perceive as better. It's not that it is better, but it's like it's the equivalent of like, if we know that, if we know that we're planning to go on a trip, I won't spend as much on like summer vacation stuff, right? Like, we'll do like, and we actually did that this last year. Is, we had a couple of days, and we were like, we'll take like, we'll do, a day or two, like go out of town for a day or two, not like, people usually like summer vacations, like, oh, we'll be gone for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. We're like, no, we'll do a couple of days, and then we'll stay at home, because I would rather save my money for what I really want to do, which is, go to Disney and go, do extra things there. Right. So yeah, it's all trade-offs, but I'm glad that you had a good time with your daughter. And it sounds like, at the very least, she's, it made enough of an impression on her that she was, playing with her dolls, trying to emulate it. So, that right there seems like it's worth the price of admission.
100%, man. It was great. We had a really great time, and, yeah, the whole thing was great. I mean, it was, we had a lot of fun. And, the nice thing about the arena that it was at, it wasn't like a huge arena. It was kind of a smaller one. It's where our minor league hockey team plays. So it's it's a more intimate venue, than like the really big arenas. So really there's no bad seats necessarily there. So, it was good. We had a great time. I was kind of hoping to see some of the Charlotte Welcome Home people there. I was looking for Chris floating around, and but I just it was good. It was good. I can't complain about anything. So let's get into
other than $18 popcorn, but
I mean, listen, it is what it is, right? And my daughter's getting used out of the little bag. She uses it to carry stuff around in, so it's a whole thing.
I'd be smuggling my own popcorn in if that was the case. But.
Yeah, they actually had the Disney security scanners in there that are not like the ones that you don't have to stop walking through. They're not like the metal detectors, those things. So I was impressed to see those, but I don't know. For the most part, it was good.
Popcorn hidden in your bag.
Yeah, next time I will steal. Bring in popcorn.
Yeah, make your own at home, and bring it in.
We'll do the movie theater thing, where we just hide a bunch of stuff in my wife's purse.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so let's do some questions. We don't have a lot of news today, but we do want to keep this a fairly short episode this week, which I know is always a challenge, especially when it's just a Trevor and I show. Because
we like to talk. I mean, we don't talk all week, so we like to talk.
We do.
It is what it is. Yeah.
So Francisco says this question is more for Damon and Trevor. Well, Damon's on here, so Trevor's going to have to ask this. As your kids grow older, how did you justify or work with the schools that you were taking your vacation during the school year?
Okay.
It's not a problem for me yet, but
yeah. So I guess the difference being that I live in Canada, I've heard, different places like school boards tend to have different views on people taking their kids out of school for vacations and stuff like that. Up here, it's not an issue until you're gone for like a month. So
nice.
So taking a kid out for like, I think the way, or at least the school board in my city, the way that they handle is they're like, yeah, people are going to take, week or 2 week vacations, and they don't want to start that fight. Right. So like they kind of accept that it's like, yeah, if your kid's gone for a week, and I mean, realistically, like we've had periods too where like our son's been sick for a week. So it's like, whether they're sick or on vacation, you still end up missing a week of school sometimes. Right. And it happens. So we've never had to like work with the school to like get an agreement on it. But what we do consider though, and actually even like this year, because my son started high school, we look at the schedule that they post, and we try to align with when they're doing like professional development days and stuff, because, they always have like days off during the year where it's like, the kids get like, Thursday, Friday off or something. Or I assume other school boards do that. Ours has always done that, where it's like at certain points through the year, it'll be like, oh, there's like a 3-day week for the kids. They're only in school for 3 days. So we do try to plan our trips around those days, because we do want to try and minimize the amount of days that he's missing. But that's, again, just for us, making sure that he doesn't fall too far behind, or that he has to do a bunch of extra work to get caught up, because we have been in that position where he's missed school, and then it's like, we're doing, or, we're working with him to make sure that he stays on top of his schoolwork. But like I said, outside of that, we've never had a problem with taking him out of school, because we just, we would just phone the school and be like, yeah, our son's going to be gone for a week. And they're like, okay, like that's the only time they care. Yeah. Because, they have the system where, they track attendances. So we just call ahead to make sure that, we don't get the phone call every day saying, your son missed school. Right. So we do that just, to avoid that hassle. But outside of that, yeah, there's no need to like negotiate with them for our time with our son.
That's nice. That's nice. I know that's not the same everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's really not the best answer, but
it's good for our Canadian listeners, I guess.
Yeah. But I guess, the other side of it too is, like I said, we even though we could go like any time of the year and they wouldn't care, we do try to be cognizant of minimizing the amount of days that he is missing. And I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. So Jeremy is just won't give up on this question. Okay. You find out that Epcot is not available for the Welcome to Podcast After Hours meetup. All three of you must discuss and agree on the second best park to hold it in. Discuss until you agree. Jeremy, why? You just trying to get us to fight? Like, is that
Magic
what it is?
Kingdom?
Yeah, I mean, Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, that's done. Easy. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get us to fight on this one. It's, I mean, see, if Damon were here, he probably would not agree to Magic Kingdom. He might agree to a Hollywood Studios, but I'd agree to that too. So,
I mean, for me, Hollywood Studios would not be my second pick, but that's just because I feel Hollywood Studios is still, it's a half day park. Like, it's not. Yeah, there's still not enough there for my family, I guess, is the thing. Like, I would still push for Magic Kingdom over second to Epcot.
That's fair.
That's just me. Yeah. But Damon's not here to argue it, so you can try again later, Jeremy. But I would say let's go to Magic Kingdom because it's classic.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All
right.
So
okay,
Daniel's.
Daniel says. Sorry, BW is board. Okay, thank you. I was like, what is that? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So are the BoardWalk 1-bedrooms going to sleep 5 after refurbishing? Right now, studio sleeps more than a 1-bedroom. Kind of counterintuitive. Also, the garden view pool point charges are the same as a BoardWalk view. It feels like there are 3 tiers of rooms and views, and the points should reflect that. So okay. So this is specific to BoardWalk.
Yeah.
And I guess, we don't know specifically if, a 1-bedroom should sleep 5. Like,
yeah, but it doesn't. So like BoardWalk is kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily weird, but I'd have to look at the other ones. Yeah. Cause BoardWalk sleeps, the studio sleep 5, but the but the one bedroom sleep four, which, I think it's just a function of the way the rooms are set up, right? Like, so the Boardwalk, the studios have a queen size bed and a sleeper sofa, and then the pull down the little bunk size bed, right? They just don't have that in the one bedroom. I've not heard anything about that happening where they're going to add in anything else. You would think the rooms are, they're like double the size essentially. You would think that they could add another bed in if they wanted to, but I haven't heard anything about that, honestly.
Yeah, because I guess my only thought on that is, kind of like how all the other places have been getting refurbs, that they've been going away from like the pull out couch beds to like the pull down Murphy beds, stuff, right? Like if they're doing that, I can't see how. Or again, this is assuming that that there's space in the room to accommodate for that. Because the thing about a Murphy bed people don't realize is, it's great that it folds into the wall the way that it does. But I've actually had a Murphy bed installed in my house, and you do have to like where the mechanism goes and everything. You got to make sure that the wall supports it, because it is under a lot of tension. And, maybe there's something with the way that those specific rooms are configured. They can't do a Murphy bed on, where they would like to. So, I don't want to assume. But I can't see how they wouldn't reconfigure a one bedroom so that it at least sleeps 5, because that kind of seems like the bare minimum at this point for any room configuration. And like you said, Boardwalk, I guess, is kind of weird because it is one of the older resorts now at this point, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a remnant of just how it was configured at the time, and they have to kind of work with that.
I do believe Boardwalk, though, the one bedrooms are one of those rooms that can sleep 5, like where they allow you to have the 5th guest.
Right.
So yeah, if you look this up, they do the whole a 5th guest can be accommodated, but no bedding will be provided, even though they will provide bedding. But so like they'll still do it. It's just not designed for it,
Yeah, it seems to kind of fall in line with just how Boardwalk is, because it's kind of a weird resort.
It's a different resort. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah. I just think it's a function of the way that the rooms are, the one bedrooms are kind of laid out, right? Like you can kind of do the 3 different beds in the studio because they're like longer, mm-hmm. But like the one bedroom is kind of more like square. So it's like, I think it's just a function of how it's set up. That's all.
Yeah. But like I said, in a one bedroom though, so it's like you've got the bedroom where the couch is, there should be like a Murphy bed pull down.
Yeah.
Couch. Yeah. So that should automatically get you 4.
That gets you 4. Then, just, you don't have that additional TV console, one that pulls down.
The pull down bed under the TV, again, it's another Murphy bed, but, yeah, they should be able to. You're right. We don't know. We can't really answer your question, Daniel. Unfortunately,
nobody knows. Yeah. And my assumption is no, though. But Miranda has a tough question here.
Okay. This is interesting. So Miranda says, do you have any tips or must-dos for someone who hasn't been to Disney World since 2008? You need a scenario. Let's say in 2025, I rent points and stay at Wilderness Lodge. Not sure time of year, but would prefer a super slow time. Okay.
Well, first of all, there's no super slow times anywhere.
Well, there isn't super slow, but there is definitely better times to go.
Slower. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're willing to accept, there's a couple of weeks in like January, February, that could be a good time to go. If you're willing to accept that it can be cold there. And I've experienced this myself where it can get pretty cold, like, in January.
I will never complain about it being cold in Florida. I'm just going to say.
Oh, I mean, it was the one day I was there. The fact that I had to have a toque and gloves for walking around the park.
What is that?
Oh, sorry, a beanie too.
Okay.
I'm sorry that my Canadian came out for a moment.
What? Yeah, what just happened? Did a Canadian thing just happen that I wasn't aware of?
So a toque is a beanie. Like, so normally you like. I don't wear a toque. I'm going to keep calling it a toque. Y'all are going to just have to look it up. you'll know what it is when you look at it, Tom.
How do you even spell that?
Touque.
Oh my god! Okay, it's a French thing. All right, look at that.
French Canadian thing.
Okay, it's a warm knitted cap traditionally made of wool and worn in the winter. Okay, yeah, I mean, we would call that a beanie. Yeah,
yeah. So wearing a toque, that's something that's usually reserved for like when it gets below 0 degrees here, 32 Fahrenheit, right? So
yeah,
I've never expected to have to do that in Florida, because every other time I've been to Florida, it's always been so hot that I'm like, in shorts, and it's summertime for me, like all year round there. So having to actually deal with cold weather in Florida, I can see where it would throw some people off. And actually, so sorry to be just a little funny aside here. When this did happen, we were there in 2019 and we met up with some friends, and most of my friends were from the States, but there was one other person in the group that was from Canada. And so my family and the one other person from Canada we all brought toques and like winter gloves with us, and like good jackets for like cold weather. So we were all prepared for the cold weather, and everybody else in our group was not. So it was kind of funny that only the Canadians were actually prepared for the cold weather.
Well, of course you would be, yeah.
Even in Florida, yeah. But yeah, so that like I said, back to Miranda's question around, that's one thing to factor in, is that there are slow times, but you may have to accept that like you're not going to the pool while you're there. If that's a big thing for you, think about that. And I mean, any tips on must do's? I mean,
that's hard, man. There's so many things that have changed in the past 15 years.
I mean, I would say just, pick a park and just, take it all in. Or again, depending on how long you're there, like you may not be able to hit all the parks, but from 2008 till now, like you have Pandora in Animal Kingdom, you have Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios. You've got
New Fantasyland too, right? I mean,
New Fantasyland. Yeah. Fantasyland, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You've got Tron.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff in Magic Kingdom that have been updated and all that. And then, I mean, and Epcot. So by 2025,
different.
Epcot's going to be a whole new thing because all of the front part of Epcot's been redone. There's Guardians there. There's Space 220. There's Frozen Ever After. I think by 2025 they'll be done with the test track redo. Right?
Yeah, Ratatouille though too. You got Ratatouille.
Yeah,
you got that whole
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you got the Skyliner.
I mean, and that's just talking about rides. I mean, there's also like, I would say you have to watch Happily Ever After. Like that's a show everybody should watch.
1,000%.
Yeah. So, and there's going to be a new Epcot show. We don't even know what the new Epcot show is going to be like yet, so I can't tell you. I mean, I assume it'll be good.
And I mean, Fantasmic has changed. I mean, I haven't even seen the new Fantasmic yet in person.
That's true.
I mean, there's so much.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff to do.
Yeah, go there for a long time.
I would plan. So I guess the best advice we could give is that if you're depending on the window of time you're going to be there, if you have enough time to hit up all the parks, do it properly. Like don't feel like you have to hit all 4 parks in one trip and then be rushing around, and like you spend more time running and then you miss out on really like experiencing a lot of these things. I would say, if you go and you say you've only got like 4 or 5 days, I would pick 2, maybe 3 of the parks, like do a little bit of research and accept that, you're not going to even get to one of the parks, but really like go and enjoy each of them, because there is so much stuff.
Mickey and Minnie's. We didn't even talk about Mickey and Minnie's.
Yeah.
I mean, was Toy Story Midway? When was Toy Story Midway Mania? Gosh, even that.
That was that 2000? Yeah, I guess. I know it was there. I mean, yeah, like when we started going with our son in like 2012, it was up and running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I can't even list like all, and that's just like talking about new stuff. Like even existing rides have all had various ones have had revamps and improvements, and like even Pirates, like the whole scene with the redhead's been changed by the time since 2008. So
that's true.
Yeah. There's lots to do, Miranda.
You've got a lot of work in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we needed a little more information. You know, the super slow time, like I said, to me that says like January, February is probably your best window. But then also we went in May, and May was pretty good. Again, you're not going to have like the park be empty, but it's slow enough that you're not bumping into people all the time.
Yeah.
We've been in September. Wasn't good. September was too hot. Beginning of November is another good time too. Like there's a nice window there where you can hit up again, to further complicate things, the Christmas party. so you can do all the Christmas party stuff and experience Christmas at Disney. And there's some slow time in November for that. So you've got a lot of different options.
New Soarin'.
Yeah. Depending on how long you want to stay there, that's going to kind of determine how much stuff you're going to see. Cause I think you would need probably a good, or I guess this is me, because I like to take it slow and I like to really take things in, and, I may do certain things more than once just to, get my fill of them while I'm there. I would say 8 to 10 days. Yeah. To really get everything in. And again,
and even then you're not going to get everything. Yeah. Even then you're not going to get everything. Right.
Yeah. Cause like I said, I just I know we go for 7 days, but we also understand that we're not going to see everything in a single trip. And personally, I just don't like rushing. I don't like to, play the, we have to tick off all the boxes game anymore. Right. So yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, one last thing though, I just need to mention.
Okay.
What was that? Wait, what was I just going to say? I totally forgot.
Sorry. I kind of went on about toques and stuff. And
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Trevor, you taught me a new Canadian thing today. I'll maybe mention to you, in some places in the South, they call those hat toboggans. Which,
that's
want to throw that. Which
a
is
toboggan is something totally. Yeah,
I know it is, but there are where I went to college. Everybody called the beanie hats. They call them toboggans. So that's a thing too. So see, you learned something new today. You learned a new American thing.
and I realized the spelling of toque actually that there's it does vary. We up here that there's words that sometimes they have extra U's in them, sometimes they don't. All
that French stuff, yeah. Right.
Even the word color, like how you spell color is COLOR, right?
Yeah. But
up here it can be spelled COLOUR.
Yeah, yeah.
And both are acceptable. So yeah, the U's kind of throw things off. But yeah, a toque, like I said, yeah, I guess I always bring a toque when I travel in the winter, which it's a beanie, but and that's just a Canadian thing because if it gets cold, you want, as much as a good jacket is nice, not having a toque and gloves just makes it miserable when it's cold outside. Yeah. So we always have a toque and gloves available.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's save Nathan's question for next week, so we can keep it moving here. Why don't we go ahead and do our ad, and then we'll do the rest of the show.
Okay, our ad for this week is DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market is a World of DVC company and is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2022, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, that's 382-7767. And when you do speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right.
Okay.
So we've been talking about it for a while, and it's finally here. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah. So the Disneyland Hotel, the villas at Disneyland Hotel are finally open as of a couple of days before us recording this podcast.
Last week. Yeah.
Like, and end of last week. I kept getting emails about this like all week.
Yeah,
so,
I was getting a lot of emails too. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
if you're on the
we
DVC
have
mailing list.
yeah. So we have another DVC property on the West Coast, which long overdue. And I haven't really heard anything about it yet, or like I haven't seen anybody like posting like videos or anything. But like, or I guess because I know they had like there was a member event where there was like a grand opening and like you could tour the rooms and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really seen any of the aftermath of that yet. So
I saw a lot of posts of pictures and stuff like that in there. I will say, like, so, just some of the pictures here that I'm seeing of like the mural in the lobby, which looks very, very cool. The pool looks nice. The rooms look really nice too. It looks like a great addition. I mean, it's the 16th DVC resort. So yeah, I mean, it looks great. And like you said, it was a sorely needed West Coast DVC resort, right? Like it was really needed. They really needed another resort. And so now DVC members have an option, another option that is hopefully going to be a little bit easier to book than Grand Californian is.
Yeah. I will say I'm really liking the color scheme that they went with for it.
Oh yeah.
Like it's very. It's not retro. Like it is definitely new looking. Like it feels like a weird take on like the 1960s vibe, if that makes any sense. Like it's not like it's got like the oranges and the yellows and stuff, but they've also like there's like this bright like pink or fuchsia or something that they've got in it as well. That's that really pops. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at this article that's a tour of the Grand Villa, and it's it looks amazing, as the pictures that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they also note in this article that a night at the Grand Villa for cash ranges from $5,200 to $6,000 plus. So I got kicked out of this paper because it's a registration. You have to have a subscription. So, it's one of those things where it's Grand Villa is really expensive. Of course, they always are, right? So, but it looks really nice to me. I do like it, and I do think it's a good addition. It is just a tower. It's not like a full on resort, right? It's a tower that's part of.
I mean, it's still part of the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, it's a great
space. So you're getting all the advantages of being at the Disneyland Hotel, which includes, all the restaurants and the fact that it is literally attached to downtown Disney, which is like kind of like Disney Springs, but smaller. And it also has monorail access to the park.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think for anybody who's never stayed at Disneyland, that'll throw you off because so like to get on the monorail, you have to buy a ticket before you get on the monorail because the ticket or the monorail actually goes inside the park and drops you off. Yeah, it drops off in Tomorrowland. So you can't just like I've seen this where people are like, oh, in Florida you can just ride the monorail as like a free thing, but in Disneyland it's technically a free thing, but you have to get a park ticket to ride it. But if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, that's kind of a unique thing. I think that you get, like it's like other hotels like near Magic Kingdom or near Epcot, where it's like you get that like walk up access to the park, right?
Yeah,
like people don't realize how valuable that is. So
I agree.
I was actually talking with my wife about this too, because we were saying that we are it's on the books that we want to go back to California, but I don't know exactly when. But like my wife was saying, she's like, I'd like to stay at the Grand California, and I said, we can try and waitlist it. We may get something, we may not. But like you say, having another resort there now, even though we didn't buy into the resort, I would still try and stay there on a 7-month. And, knowing that, they have we talked about the tax that they have or the whatever
I mean, you're paying it at Grand California. I mean, you're just it's just different.
It's not. It's a little more expensive at this resort. So that's the only thing for me is that this resort, it's exciting that it's finally here, and I'll definitely make use of it. I'm just kind of glad that I didn't buy there at the end of the day, because if I was spending that money every single trip, I don't think I would enjoy it quite as much.
Yeah. No, I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah. And
by the way, sorry.
Well, I was just going to go to the next thing, but you got.
I just really quickly. I know you're not a sports guy, but I don't know if you saw that they were doing this thing this morning on Disney Plus. There was an NFL game in London, and they did this thing with Toy Story where they had
it was a weird overlay thing where they had the
so basically they were in Andy's room, and they were doing a live they were animating the football players basically live, and it was in real time essentially. And, with all these Toy Story references and Toy Story things happening while the game was going on, I have to say it was really cool. And we watched the whole game this way, and my daughter was very into it, which I usually don't get to watch football. So, because my daughter does not want to watch it. So this was a really accessible way. But I just have to say that it was pretty cool. It was a pretty neat use of technology. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It was pretty glitchy. But I mean, the way that they did it was really fun, and whenever they went to place the football, they had the claw come down and pick it up and then put it, where it's supposed to be. They had, every time there was a penalty, the little green man, one of the little green aliens held up the sign of what the penalty was, or they had all sorts of little fun things interspersed there. And I mean, the commentators were in action figure form, and actually that part was really impressive to me, because they were having them talk as action figures live, and the mouth was moving, the eyes were moving, they did a really it was very accurate. It looked really good, for the commentators especially. So yeah, it was just fun, and the halftime show was Duke Kaboom. So it's a little bit of Canadian representation right there.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, I just had to mention that because I thought it was cool. Anyway, so DVC members can now get a free collectible coin. I'm not going to lie, want one of these coins. Maybe several of these coins.
Yeah. I'm hoping that these will still be around by the time I go in February. Because like you, I'd like to add this to my collection of DVC stuff.
Pretty cool.
And I noticed so it's got the emblem, and it looks like it's they're representing a lot of the different resorts. On it. I don't know if it's all of them. I'm seeing Riviera and
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
14.
There's 14 images on there, and there's 16 resorts. So maybe they're just excluding Disneyland completely out of it. So
yeah, must be Florida only, because looking at all of the different symbols, I can see, I see BoardWalk, I see Riviera, I see Polly's there, Saratoga. What's the seashell? I guess that's Beach Club. Okay,
yeah, I would assume that's Beach Club, or
Grand Floridian. Yeah. It's again just a neat little thing to add to your collection, and it almost kind of reminds me of the pirate doubloons from Pirates of the Caribbean, the curse.
Yeah,
curse coins.
I have to say, I would take the Damon tact on this one. I probably wouldn't take it out of the packaging. This would be a thing I keep.
It seems like something that would just stay in the packaging.
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. We don't have to talk about it a lot. I just think it's a cool giveaway. Mm-hmm. So we got a question, I think, a couple weeks ago asking, because we really haven't heard anything about the Fort Wilderness Cabins in a while.
Yeah.
They kind of announced it and then said nothing else. So
we do have a little more information now.
We do. So there's been a permit filed to begin work on the cabins. And what's anticipated here, though, is that so the permits, like usual, don't say much, right? It's general construction for the location where these 365 cabins are supposed to be. But what is expected to happen, and this makes sense, they've done this before, and they do it a lot. I mean, they do this with cruise ships. They did it with a Contemporary. They're going to build these offsite, bring them completed, and then install them, which makes sense. If you're going to build 365 cabins, probably a really efficient way to do it. So,
yeah.
So, and the one that causes the least amount of disruption to other Fort Wilderness guests, right? So, good.
I'm just looking at something kind of interesting here. So we got this article on DVC News that indicates where these cabins are going to be getting constructed.
Yeah.
And so the way they describe it is that it'll be on. So if you look at the map of Fort Wilderness, there's loops, which is like the roads where they have the different cabins and spaces for people, right?
Yeah.
So most of the cabins are going to be on loops 2200 to 2800, which is like on I guess that's the east side of Fort Wilderness. But then over on loop 100, which is like on the opposite side of Fort Wilderness,
by the way,
there's going to be only a couple of cabins, which
it says 2. Yeah, there's just going to be 2.
Yeah, which those to me sound like those are going to be like premium.
Yeah.
Cabins, because they're going to be like waterfront cabins, and they're really close to the boat dock and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting that there's only going to be 2 of them, so it sounds like they're going to kind of I guess pose it the same way as like the bungalows are at the Poly, where it's like you have like the larger resort, but then you've got a couple of these like higher end spaces you can stay in. But of course, I'm expecting those will come at a crazy high premium.
Well, and and listen, I'm not a Fort Wilderness expert, right? Like I've never stayed in Fort Wilderness, so I don't know a lot about it. So, maybe we're showing our ignorance here, but from just doing some quick Googling, it seems like the 100 loop is considered premium or preferred space. Mm-hmm. So obviously it seems like it's going to stay that way. I mean, they'll probably just be the exact same cabin. You're just going to pay more for the location, right? Like that's really what it's going to come down to.
I feel, well, because if they're doing the construction on all these cabins, I can see them like, or I can't see them just being like, here's the same cabin that's already here. I can see there at least being some sort of refurb or something being done to these cabins.
Oh, no, they're building brand new cabins. Yeah.
I get what you're saying is that it's not going to be like a separate cabin design. It's going to be the same cabin.
Yeah. It's not going to be anything, right? Yeah. It's not going to be like the cabins over at a Wilderness Lodge, right? It's going to just be the same cabin. You're going to get it at a premium because of that.
Because it's what, a 5-minute walk closer to everything, which
pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can also see where, I have had that experience of, coming back from the park and you're tired and, everyone else is like trudging off to their cars or to get, they've still got further to go. And it's like, you just walk off the boat dock and you're at your room. Like, exactly. I can see where, that's a premium that they definitely want to try and sell.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know, man. I guess we're going to see, because I'm just trying to see here.
The fact that there's only 2 though is very, it's odd that they would only do 2, but maybe that's the only space that they could get.
It could be. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
it could be. I'm just pulling up because why not? I'm just pulling up Google Maps to see if they have Street View for that area, and they actually do. So you can actually see what that looks like. Just because I want to see if I could see where the current cabins are, and I think I do see where the current cabins are. So yeah, there they are. So let's see. Do they have? Okay. I mean, I don't know if you could see the water from there, but you're definitely close to the water.
Like I said, I feel like it's one of those, like even if it's not immediate like lake view, because the lake view is not, or over by Wilderness Lodge, you're not getting a view of like Magic Kingdom or anything. You're looking out just over a lake, right? But I can see where that the selling point is that you're literally right around the corner from access to everything. Right.
Yeah.
Like
you're right by Hoop-de-Doo. You're right by the docks. You're right by, the trading post here, you're right by the beach. Like I am laughing though, by the way, Trevor, because the Google Maps has a spot that says Reflections at Disney Lakeside Lodge temporarily closed.
I mean, they're not wrong.
It also somehow has 22 reviews, 4 stars out of 5, which is interesting for a place that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Clearly the stars are made up and they don't.
Oh my God, the reviews. Oh no.
Do I want to know?
So this person said, man, this was amazing, aside from the fact I contracted a brain eating amoeba. But anyway, the food was okay. I ate some rat that I found, but I had to drink a 20-year-old river water, so it wasn't amazing. Oh, that's really funny. So some of these are just accidental, right? Like, but some of these are just funny, right? Like, amazing natural outdoorsy vibe, lots of trees, no amenities. Had to sleep on the dirt floor and cover myself with moss. Oh man.
Wow.
It's so funny. I did not know that fake reviews existed.
You're close to Magic Kingdom. That's the important thing.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that fake reviews existed for Reflections. Good for these people. This is just a funny random thing that people actually did.
Now, here's a question. Are those, I feel like some of those have got to be from like 2020 or earlier.
A year ago, 10 months ago.
Oh, okay. Wow. So they're even, so yeah, it must have been after people were getting, or that it was getting indicated that it wasn't going to happen. People probably figured they would start trolling.
Yeah. Which, listen, it's funny. I think it's funny. I just have never noticed it before. It's just such a random thing to be there. So, all right. So so we'll have cabins soon.
Yeah, and so also are going from the cabins to transportation. So the Bay Lake Boat Transportation Service is coming back to. It's not just the Contemporary; it's like all the surrounding resorts, including Wilderness Lodge and all that, right?
Well, no, it's just the routes, right? So Wilderness Lodge has been running the boats to like Magic Kingdom, but like there used to be that loop that they would run where they went to Fort Wilderness, to Contemporary, and then Wilderness Lodge, but they haven't had that one in a while. They've kind of just had boats that went straight from from
just
Fort
the
Wilderness.
directs,
yeah. Like so you couldn't really travel easily between the resorts. So yeah, it was a little bit different, but I mean, like, listen, this goes along with them bringing back some of the other stuff, right? Like the trams and they're just trying to get things back to where I know the pandemic's been over for a little while now, but I mean, they're still trying to get back to where they were before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I think this is worth pointing out. So we're just talking about there's the water taxi near Magic Kingdom. I realize that this also includes there are water taxis near Epcot between BoardWalk Beach Club and the Swan and Dolphin hotels. Yes. So all of that is going to become accessible again here via water.
Wait, was that not accessible? I feel like I did that last time I was on a trip. I thought this was just the ones over there.
Again, I think you may be thinking of the same thing where like they had like directs from like BoardWalk to Epcot and stuff, but this sounds like you said it. I think it's the larger like taxi routes. Yeah, because they're talking about the blue route that which actually opens today. So as we're
as we're
recording this episode, yeah.
So it's back. Congrats to everybody that can use it.
Beginning daily beginning at 3 p.m. So again, like as it's running as we're recording this episode.
Yeah. So that's great news. That's great news. It's always good to see these things coming back, like the parking trams and all that. So, and of course, any of the transportation stuff that's coming back is good. It seems like Disney's finally kind of caught up and is now at least as close to fully staffed as they can be.
Yeah. And from my point of view, it's, even though I don't use these things on a regular basis, it's good to have the options because, I don't always like even going from like Magic Kingdom to Contemporary. I know you can walk and whatnot, but it's like, I don't always want to get on a monorail to go somewhere. And, the boat taxis are kind of a nice, I find they're not as heavily utilized as other modes of transportation, or you don't find them like packed full like you do the monorail and stuff, right? So
it's a different kind of experience, you know. It's like I don't know. I find the boats to be one of the cooler ways to do things, to like travel.
Yeah, but you shouldn't say it too loud, because then they're going to be full all the time, and then
I mean, I think people know they.
Like I said,
I would hope so.
They do, but like I said, you'd be surprised. Like, I guess I kind of pay attention to this stuff like as we're leaving Magic Kingdom, and you can see where like there's a clear difference of intent between people who are like, we got to get on the monorail to get back to our car, and it's like you could just get onto the ferry boat and do the same thing quicker because of the way the ferry boat is. But there's people that get fixated on like, I want to ride, or we got to take the monorail, right? Like it's not even a discussion for them. But then, besides those two things, I always see like the water taxis or the other boats, they're never full. Like there's never a lineup for them. And so it's like a weird, like I said, I feel like it's one of those modes of transportation that, like you said, it's cool, but not a lot of people think of it as practical, I guess, when realistically it is just as efficient as any other way of getting around the property. I
agree. I love taking the boats, especially like the smaller boats, like the one that goes from Grand Floridian to Polynesian to Magic Kingdom, like those smaller ones that are kind of like the, kind of have like the wooden theme to them, as opposed to those bigger boats that are a little more, I don't want to say
they're almost like the Jungle Cruise boats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love those. Those are very cool and very like intimate and like very unique experiences, especially just traveling by boat too, because you get like that really cool view of like the parks, and you get to see some parts of property that you don't normally get to see, especially when you're going over the water bridge, so I don't know. I'm assuming people realize that if you drive into or if when you take the bus into Magic Kingdom, there's that part where you go down and there's an overpass overhead. That's actually a water bridge that the boats go over. So if you didn't know that, now you know. But there's there's some cool things like that.
Or like there's also like you said, going from Grand Floridian over to Magic Kingdom, there's the island where Walt was supposed to have a house built there, was the original intent, but I believe there's the wave machine that they used to use for the Polynesian when they used to do surfing and all that. Again,
which
like it's
for like a couple years.
but you kind of get to, like, you can't see stuff directly necessarily, but you kind of get, like you said, it's like views that you don't normally, or that most people wouldn't see or wouldn't notice coming into Magic Kingdom. So like, I like you. Yeah. I like that. I like these alternate forms of transportation that Disney offers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think by the way, it's kind of nuts that they had a wave machine.
Not that. I mean, they have a wave machine at Typhoon Lagoon. It's
I know, but
it's
like
not uncommon. But
but it's just like a lake. I mean, it's not. They put a wave machine in a lake.
You're right. That in and of itself was a little crazy. But I remember always seeing like videos of like I remember seeing stuff of like Goofy surfing on the lake, which is just kind of crazy that was a thing at one point.
Well, I think the biggest problem was the beach erosion that they had, right? So, and then they also just had a hard time because they operate so many watercraft in that pool, right? I mean, it's just it's hard for them to do that. But
it's hard to run a ferry boat when there's waves hitting hitting the shore randomly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just I mean, I think it's cool that they did it, but I don't know. So, but then they I guess apparently, I didn't know this, that in 1985 they tested, like it had just been like sitting there for like 15 years, and so they tried it again to see if it would work again, and then it worked, but it was still a problem, so they took it out. I guess it's removed now, but I always thought it was still there.
I thought that the structure was, or I part of the structure still saying there, that it's not like the whole wave machine is just abandoned, but there's like the structure of the wave machine on that island.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's such a random thing to talk about, but no, it's one of my favorite like fun facts.
These are things that you find out, like, if you get onto the water taxis. I've said this before about talking to the cast members that like run the ferry boats and stuff. Like, you will get a lot of interesting information from engaging with the cast members that run these different things from time to time. So yeah, you never know what you'll find out about the properties by taking something other than the monorail.
Yeah. And when I took my wife and I on our honeymoon, we did a private tour of the lake, right? So we did a private fireworks cruise that was comped to us by Disney because they had made a mistake. And we're comping us with the private fireworks cruise, which was amazing. So, but yeah, so when they took us on the tour of Bay Lake and of the lagoon, the guy pointed out where the wave machine had been. It's those kinds of things that you can really find out some interesting facts. So yeah, wave machine, random. I feel like they used to do so many more water sports on Bay Lake too, and on the Seven Seas Lagoon, but like they really don't do as much as they used to. I feel like I see, like I used to remember like parasailing. I feel like, and I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, I feel like these are all things that like, just over time, they realize that it's not practical to run them. Because I can't imagine parasailing. Or there's too much stuff. I think I think part of the problem is just the way that the resorts have expanded and everything. Like there's no free space to do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they still do it, and I just haven't seen it in a while. I don't know.
I can't recall ever seeing parasailing.
Oh, I definitely saw it before. It did exist, right? So, like,
For me, like, I've really primarily been going since 2016, and I don't recall ever seeing that. So, I know what you're saying is that it existed at some point, but I don't think they do it anymore.
No, I can't remember it happening. I mean, they also just used to do like water skiing and wakeboarding and kneeboarding and. I don't. Do they even do jet skis still? I'm trying to remember if I've seen jet skis recently.
They do those little boats,
so mini boats. I drove one of those when I was a kid. Yeah. I did one of those when I was a kid. They're super fun. But like, I don't even think they do jet skis anymore. But maybe someone can correct me. I'm just trying to remember. I don't feel like I've seen jet skis in the lake recently. So
yeah, again, I think that it's because they've got the water taxis and the ferry boat and all these other transportation things going on. The problem is because I've seen this with the mini boats, is that they will let you, or you can still do them, but they have a very specific like route, and like you can't just drive them wherever. Like it's very controlled because they don't want you, running into the side of a ferry or something.
Because they require no qualifications whatsoever to drive one. It's just like, so this stick, you push it forward and the thing goes forward, you pull it back, or opposite, right? You pull it back, it goes forward, you push it forward, it goes backwards, and you turn the little wheel. Like that's like, they just tell you basically that and nothing else, right?
It's like driving an Utopia car, but
but without the guardrail. Yeah. So I understand why they don't do it as much anymore, especially with the self-guided things. But yeah, it's interesting that they used to do that. And plus, do I really want to swim around in Bay Lake with potential gators in there and snakes?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't like the idea of being on the water taxis are about as close to the water as I want to get.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, because even staying at the Poly, like I do see snakes in the water.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time. Like the first time I saw, I was like, oh, there's a snake over there. And after a couple of times, it's like, okay, this is just a thing here. Like, you accept that they're in the water, which means I don't want to be in the water.
Well, I've told this story before. The one time we went mini golfing, back when they used to do, you do the packages and they gave you that like coupon book. And you could get, the package like included like free mini golf. It's like, so you went mini golfing, right? And, we went mini golfing and we were on one of the holes and there was a snake there. And at first I thought it was a prop as part, because it's a silly mini golf course. I would think it was the think it was Winter Summerland, right? So it's like, all right, it's a silly mini golf course. So me being
Christmas snakes.
Yeah. So me, I go over there and I poke it with my putter, and I got to see if it's real or not, right? So I poke it with my putter, and of course it's real. And so I go and I tell a Disney employee, and they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll call the snake guy." And I'm like, "The snake guy?" She's like, "Oh yeah, we have a guy whose whole job is he just travels around the property and picks up the snakes that we find." I'm like, "Oh, great." Just snakes everywhere. So yeah, the snake.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I just don't want to interact with them myself.
Yeah, I'm not like somebody who's afraid of snakes. Like, snakes are fine. Like, they don't scare me. I've picked up snakes before in my yard. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But it's just funny to me that somebody's job is just the snake guy. He just has a little cart. He drives around in. He goes, picks up a snake, and moves it somewhere else. And anyway,
nothing wrong with that.
That's just. I wonder how you list that. Like, how do you list that as a job listing? I
mean, it's animal control.
Yeah, they just have their own. It's just animal. I mean, he probably does more than snakes, right? It's probably not just snakes.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they like. It's not a daily occurrence or multiple times a day where he's having to.
You don't think so? I would think it would be.
I don't think it's that common
right.
Or I guess maybe I'm assuming only in the public facing areas. So like, yeah, I guess snakes can show up anywhere. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing I have in here, there wasn't a lot of news this week, I'll be honest. But we want to wrap up anyway. But the last thing I had on here was just some new photo ops. And I'm just looking at, through these. I don't know anything about Ahsoka. Like, I've never watched anything. So none of those things mean anything to me. But I'm sure anybody that knows about Ahsoka probably is interested in those, I guess.
I mean, it's so the three magic shots are Ahsoka herself, and then a Lothcat from Lothal. Which it's not just Ahsoka. Like, if you watch Rebels, like I know what a Lothcat is, and then,
I didn't
Chopper,
watch Rebels, so
yeah, and then Chopper, which is the R2 unit, or I guess
it's a droid that's there.
Is he an R2? I don't think he's an R2 unit. I need to look up what he is now.
It's important to be accurate on this.
Yeah, because if I say he's an R2 unit and I'm wrong, and he's actually like an R, I don't know.
Someone's gonna have a hard time about it. They've also got some Encanto ones too, and some Coco ones here. So there's a Coco one with.
He's a C1 series, not R2.
Okay.
Yeah,
how dare you? How dare you?
I know I'm terrible at identifying my.
Please
droids.
send me your Star Wars fanboy card so I can rip it in half. You've lost your Star Wars fanboy privileges again.
That's fine.
After the AT-AT AT-AT situation, we had to rip it up that time. That was a long time. That was a long time. You remember how much flack we got for that?
Oh, I know. It's fine.
I mean, come on now. Anyway,
I'm a Star Wars enjoyer. I am not a fanboy. There is a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Just let me be an enjoyer. I can enjoy on my own terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we also though have some Encanto and Coco ones. So there's one with Maribel. There's one with Bruno. I'm digging this Luisa one though, holding up the donkey.
The Luisa one's very cool. I like that.
That one's cool. I like that one. I think that's the best of the bunch. The Coco ones are all right. Like the one standing with his uncle or whatever, grandfather, whatever, whoever he is. Grandfather? Great grandfather.
Grandfather. It's his grandfather.
Great. Yeah. And then with the dog, that one too. That one's all right. Those are cool. I think we talked. Good.
I was going to say that the Antonio one from Encanto.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I like the fact that there's a capybara. Yeah, like I know it's just
very
random.
Judgy. He looks very judgy.
Capybaras are the most chill animal you will ever see. They are the largest rodent in the world, and they are just chill. Like I think it's awesome.
You also have some toucans in the background there too. I think some. I don't know if there's
there's some toucans flying, but I'm focused on the capybara because
the Bruno one kind of creeps me out a little bit. You just the weird behind you. Yeah. It's being a creeper. So I think we talked about these magic shots for Halloween already. So those are not new. Yeah. I will say that it looks like they're doing at the Disney PhotoPass studio. They have a haunted mansion backdrop that you can take professional photos at, which looks pretty cool. I like.
Yeah, I like that. I would never go out of my way for that. Is the only
I wouldn't either.
Because I guess I would never do a photo shoot at at Disney Springs.
Yeah, I wouldn't do
the
that.
photo studio there. But yeah, I mean, it's great that they have the option there, because I'm sure there's, I guess if I was there for Halloween and we wanted to do, this would actually be something that if I had like costumes and it was like I wanted to do a photo shoot for costumes without being in the park, like that's because doing photo stuff in the park is sometimes a pain, right? Especially like if you're in costume, right?
Yeah. I think my number one though is this Muppets Magic Shot right here.
Yeah. The Honeydew and Beaker.
Yeah. So this is I like this one a lot. It has all of the weird stuff that they have for Food and Wine that they've created, including the infamous pickle milkshake. And then you're there with Honeydew and Beaker's doing the doing the bunny ears.
Yeah, and it looks. I actually didn't even realize because I was like, oh, this looks like you're standing in front of a thing or like a table in front of Horizon, or is that? Yeah, it's Horizon.
Odyssey. It's Odyssey.
Or sorry, Odyssey. Yeah. So you're standing in front of Odyssey. But I realized that even the table is it's superimposed. So it's just like, yeah. There's a lot going on in that one.
And then
milkshake is
I'm skipping over all these videos. I mean, they're fun and all, but I
want to stop on the Space Mountain one.
That's the one I was going to go to next. So they redid the Space Mountain photo with a new look, and it looks. One of the things I've been most impressed about Tron, by the way, is how clear they are able to get those attraction photos, considering they're moving so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like, why can't all ride photos look this crisp and clear, right? And this looks like they've made an enhancement to it that makes them a little more crisp and clear, but also they've just made it look a lot cooler, right? Like, it's just like a better background, I guess.
Well, I think it looks worse.
You think it looks worse? Really?
So here's my problem with it.
Okay.
The fact that the people are very clear, but all the blurring and all the like extra effect stuff, like that's not there when you take the photo.
No, it's not.
And it feels very like it feels like this could be like you couldn't even be on the ride. Like this could be like just sitting in a one of the cars, and they could just take this photo, and it could be just like photoshopped, right? Like it doesn't. But like
the version,
it doesn't feel as authentic to me.
All right, I get that, but the version now is kind of like, I don't know, the part you're not seeing all the
photos My photos are clear when I go on Space Mountain.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not clear. I'm just saying like they're, they just threw a Space Mountain logo on it, right? Like I kind of like that they're making it look like you're actually blasting off into space. I don't know. I know what you mean about not being authentic, though. I get it.
It seems a little overproduced is my thing, right? Like it seems like the people are being like cut into a picture versus like taking a picture and adding enhancements. Like it seems like the whole thing could be photoshopped at this point.
Fair.
So that's my, like, I'm not against enhancing the photos or adding extra little things to it, but I think whoever designed this one kind of missed the mark because like even the sled, like it looks blurry. Like it looks like,
I'm wondering if it's just the example photo though. Like I'd like to see like an actual version of this,
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll have to see like when the next time I go on it, cause I'll have, I have multiple Space Mountain photos for reference. So,
well, I also wonder though, if it's blurry because the whole idea is like you're going really fast, right? Like it's blurred because you're going super fast,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I kind of get that, but it seems
blasting off into space, Trevor.
All right. I'm bringing up my.
You're pulling up old photos.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look through my Space Mountain ones real quick.
Well, we should wrap up. We should really wrap this thing up. So.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't need to look at those now. If you go,
is there ever a bad time to look at your Disney photos?
I mean, that's a fair point. Let's save that for a waitlist episode. Is there a bad time? No. So let's go ahead and wrap up.
I'm still looking through my photos.
No more photos. What are you doing?
I can't find them now.
Yeah, well, we need to get out of here.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Google. You're not helping me.
Yeah, taking way too long. Come on, Google.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have the photo of us on Space Mountain together, or no? Did we get that photo?
Somewhere in here?
We did,
I do,
right?
but
we bought that photo, didn't we? Yeah.
Trying to search for, or the problem is I'm searching for like Space Mountain, and Google is like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like it's kind of guessing. So
really?
I think. Well, so it knows the location, but it's bringing me up. It's bringing like everything at Magic Kingdom up because it's like, it's going like, oh, this is kind of near Space Mountain. So it's, So I have to kind of weed through and find my Space Mountain photos. So I'll do that later. And, maybe next episode we can talk about why overproduced ride photos are not a good idea, because that's what I think. I just think that somebody swung for the fences with and
had a whiff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they missed. I really do think they missed on that one.
Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool, but
I don't get me wrong. I don't mind having photos like that, but not every photo needs to be that overproduced.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
But that would be like I guess I compare it to like, you go on Pirates, right? And, they have the picture on Pirates and, it's got some stuff around the edges and whatnot. But if like the whole thing was like, everybody on the boat's getting attacked by a skeleton and it it just, it's like, what am I even looking at
I have to say okay, I really want to wrap up, but I will say the two worst PhotoPass photos. Actually, no, I'm going to give you my top 5 worst PhotoPass photos, right?
Okay.
I think number 1 is Pirates of the Caribbean for a couple of reasons. One, because there's nothing happening when it takes your photo.
The timing. Yeah. It's before the drop, not after the drop.
It's before the drop. You're just floating along. And the second reason why it's bad is because you get in the whole boat, right? So like it's, I don't know, you just don't have a good look, I feel like, at yourself even, right? Second worst one.
And everyone's always looking in different directions, right?
Yes. Second worst one. Second most pointless one. It's not even worst. It's just pointless. All right. It's gonna be Buzz Lightyear, right? Because again, you're shooting, right? And it's become a thing where you just make dumb faces, right? Like, and that's fine because that's what we always do, right? But it's like the whole thing with ride photos is like you want to capture like that moment when something crazy's happening, right? When you're like on Tron, when you're launching, right? Like the look on your face as you're launching, or the same with like Test Track, when you're speeding up to 65 miles per hour and you have that, everyone's hair's flying in the air and you got that look on your face. Like that's what you want, right? Like not me, like, with my tongue hanging out while I'm like focusing on trying to hit the Z on the bottom of Zerg's ship. You know what I mean? Like
I think that's just as valid, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3 is, and I'm going to say this, and I hate to say this, but Haunted Mansion.
I knew you were going to say that.
Okay. Because why?
It is the most unexciting.
It is.
Photo. Because every photo we've gotten on it, unless, like you said, unless we've thought about like, oh, here it comes, do something silly.
Yes.
It's literally just you going down a hallway looking at stuff. And every photo I've seen, people look so disinterested in what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know what? I'm just going to keep it to 3. Those are my 3 worst photo passes at Disney World. So
I'm going to have to figure out what your other 2 would be, but we'll leave that for another time.
I'm trying to even think of if there are 2 other ones that are as bad as those 2. I mean, it bothers me that there's nothing on like Big Thunder. Give me something on Big Thunder. Why do we not have one on Big Thunder?
So, you're right. There's a lot of opportunities that are missed today.
So many.
And this is my thing about the Space Mountain one is that, it is a good photo, like where it is, it's good action and all that. I feel like what they've done to it here is taking away from that, which I feel kind of comes back to your point is that, not all ride photos are worthwhile. And I feel like I feel like Space Mountain, if you're not even like getting, or if you're questioning whether or not you were actually on Space Mountain because it's so overproduced, I think that's missing the mark.
I'm going to give you my top 3 bests too. I'm going to give you top 3 bets really quickly because I do want to wrap this up.
Okay.
I'm going to go unconventional for number 1, and I'm going to say dinosaur. There has never been a dinosaur PhotoPass photo I haven't looked at where there are people not crazy terrified, right? Like there is just something about the dinosaur PhotoPass because they do it right when that dinosaur comes straight at your face. And everybody just has even like people that have been on it before, everyone has a look on their face of shock. It's just, so that one is number 1 for me. I'm going to say number 2 has to be Tower of Terror, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, Tower of Terror also is like
the video might be better on Tower of Terror.
The video is way better because you get like the before and after of the whole situation.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. And I have to say, even though I haven't been on it, Tron. I mean, the Tron photos look amazing. Just look so good. Like they're just very crisp, and you really capture like a lot of what's happening at the time. But I feel like nothing beats Dinosaur to me. Just there's just a certain amount of terror that occurs in that photo. That like every time that we've gotten off that ride and we've looked at the photo, we have giggled like children because it's just funny, Like
I'm surprised you didn't say Splash Mountain.
It's on there. So Splash Mountain's tough because like that's the classic Disney photo, right? Like I feel like people really think about Splash Mountain as like the PhotoPass photo. You're right. I'm probably wrong in that one. I mean, Test Track's a big one too. I feel like Test Track's a big one. Those would probably be in my top 5 as well.
Those are both the most well timed. I
agree.
Because they hit that, like you said, it's that exact moment of the action that you should be capturing.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. So. Like the Test Track one is very well timed. You get really great reactions from that one, and you're so right about the Splash Mountain one. The Splash Mountain one is excellent. And that's one that people buy, right? Like that's one that you see.
I have one from like 1993 that, or like my parents, like it was like the first time we rode Splash Mountain as a family, and we have that photo still because it was. I mean, there wasn't like, I think it was the first one, so there wasn't a lot of things to buy photos for, but the fact that we still have it, and I'll still look at it and go, yeah, that was awesome. Like it's, even though we've ridden it multiple times over the years and we still have other photos, the fact that photo is still like in the cardboard that it came in, because they put it in
the cardboard
frame, that does say something to how well thought out that particular ride photo is.
You know what? I'm gonna reorganize my list. It's gonna be number 1.
Okay, you're the one who wanted to finish up, so I'll let you. I'll let you keep
number
going.
1 Dinosaur, right. Number 2 Splash Mountain, number 3 Test Track, and the other 2 are in the same order in 4 and 5. Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
I don't know how we got talking about this, but I want it to be a topic in the group. Let's talk about it. Worst photo passes, best photo passes. Go.
If you guys disagree with us, I want to hear it. I want to hear what other people's views on this are, because this is just me and Tom talking about what we see, but that's just the two of us. I'm not an expert on Disney PhotoPass, the optimal Disney PhotoPass opportunity. I don't even know what it is, right? Like
it's even hard to like come up with the qualifications for it, right? Because it's like, what do you value the most? Like, is it the one you're going to hang up in your house? Because then it's probably going to be Test Track or Splash Mountain. Is it the one that's the funniest? Because for me, it's the one that's the funniest, and that's Dinosaur to me. Like, or is it like the best photo of your reaction, which might be Tron or,
See, Space Mountain, I've got a lot of good Space Mountain ones that I go back and look at with my son. Like we've done... Space Mountain is another one that I think it has a lot of potential, and that's why I don't like what they've done with it here, right? Because, but yeah, like you said, let's put it out to the group, and let's close this episode.
We're so
down.
bad at wrapping up, Trevor. Like, let's wrap up.
Whatever. You know what? It's my podcast. We can do what we want, right?
You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay. So as usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your emails, sharing your own take on photo passes or your own trip reports and questions and all that kind of stuff. You can always fire them to our Gmail address. So that's probably that's the first place to reach us. But if you're on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. As we were saying about, putting it out to the group, we do have our Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. If you want to join that group, come see what we're talking about, because, we have discussions like this one with the photo passes in that group, but then we also got a lot of great people in there that post memes and comment on the show, and then also people will pose their own questions there, which a lot of the questions we get on the show come from the Facebook group. So if you want to get a question on the show, that's a good way to do it as well. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our different merchandise. We've got a new logo up there, so if you want to see what we've done to the logo, you can go get some shirts, and we've got different things that you can buy with the new logo. As we've said on previous episodes, we'd love to see some pics of people wearing the new merch in the park, and there may be a hat in your future if you do so, because we are getting some new hats made with the new logo, which I'm really excited about.
I'm pretty pumped for the new hats. I'm not gonna
lie. I can't wait to get those. And we also have the golden button shirt too, which we've talked about in the past. It has the legendary golden button that Damon decided that you can only wear for the occasion that it is deemed for. You can't, or it was for the birthday, which is, you should
wear it
only
on
be able,
your birthday.
Yeah. But this is our golden button, and the golden button says you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast, which means, as long as you're listening to the show, you can wear the golden button shirt. So, make sure you get one of those. Those will only be in the store for a limited time until December. So, get one before they disappear into the Welcome Home vault, because apparently we have a vault now.
Disney
I don't know.
Vault.
Yeah. The Disney Welcome Home vault.
It's
so
right alongside all those VHS copies of The Little Mermaid. So that's where it'll be. Yeah.
I've got a black cauldron in there too. So
yeah, I'm just imagining the end of Indiana Jones, where they're taking it through the huge warehouse and
it belongs in a museum.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, you can check out all of our different merch. If you'd rather support us through Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod, and you can check out our different levels of support we have for our Patreon people. Patreon supporters get exclusive merchandise that you can only get on Patreon. It's not available in the store or anywhere else. So there is that, and also our Patreon supporters can get a discount in the store. So again, if you're looking to get something from the store, supporting us through Patreon can actually help you get a discount on that, which may work out in your favor.
Absolutely.
So it's something to think about. And our Patreon supporters also get access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we love to talk with our listeners. And we have all kinds of great conversations on there that get brought into the show. So if that sounds interesting to you, have a look at that too. And last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review so that we can help the podcast get to more people, because reviews are what makes these kinds of things work. So leave us a review, and on iTunes, if you want to write us a review, we love to see those, because we do read them out on the show, and we also just like to hear your feedback. So please do that.
We do, and I don't have any reviews this week, so. No reviews this week. So leave us some reviews so I can read them.
Yeah. We want to see your reviews. We want to know what you guys think about the show.
Exactly. And also, though, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music, YouTube proper, any place that they have podcasts, you can find us. Just search for Welcome Home and look for, of course, the Disney one. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home podcast is for entertainment only. We're not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC cast member or a Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsors of this episode, DVC Resale Market, and of course, World of DVC for being a continued sponsor of the show. Please check them out if for any of your DVC needs. That definitely helps the show when you do that. So, and I'm just excited, Trevor, by the way, because now I get to play the Halloween intro and outro because we're in October officially.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
So will this be
first one?
So
this first one.
You know what you should do? So people are going to get to hear us produce the show live. You should start this episode with the regular one and then outro it with the Halloween one.
I thought you were going to say do like a record scratch and just like have it transition over to the.
You could do if you can do that. I mean, that would.
I could.
But I think it would be cool to start it as the regular one and then finish with the Halloween outro.
You just gave me an idea that I'm going to do, and I hope I have time to do it.
So something might happen here. I don't know what it is, people, but that's how this show goes. So
this is going to be fun. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.